Hello, everyone. I'm Chuck Shoemaker, and today we're talking about retirement and getting ready for retirement. We've got 10 things that you need to do before you retire, and we're going to talk about those things today. And then at the end of the video, I've got it's an 11th thing. It's how to maintain happiness through retirement. And I'm going to show you how to do that. So stay with me till the end. I hope you'll subscribe to the channel and hit that like button and leave a comment. I'm going to tell you, please leave a comment, and because when other people read those comments, they gain from whatever you have to say on there. So I pray you'll do that, and just leave a comment, and I try to respond to every one of them. So I'll get back with you at that. But right now, back to it. 10 things that you need to do before you retire. Most people don't think about that until they get in their 60s and think, "Oh, I'm going to retire in a few years. So what do I do?" And so that's what we're going to talk about today. So grab a cup of coffee if that's what you like, and we'll get started on this. First of all, the first thing I want to talk about today is to uh, think about when you're going to retire. At what age do you want to retire? Some people, I'm not a financial advisor, so I'm not going to, I'm not going to go into the money part of it. But you need to have saved up some money. You need to put some money aside for it, and that's why I say if you're 50, maybe 40, right now, or in your 50s and 60s or early 60s, it's something you really want to think about. Is how much money am I going to need? And then another thing is to think about is um, how much money will I get from Social Security when I retire? Now, in this little thing here, Social Security sends it out, and so they send it to me, and it starts at age 63. Uh, it says 63 and 10 months, but anyway, it goes all the way to 70, and it tells me every year how much I'm going to, if I retired at age 62, it tells me how much I'm going to make. If I retired at age 68, it tells me there, all the way through there. Every year, it goes up every year. And so here's one thing that you really need to think about, because today in today's society, people are living longer, living to be 80, in their 80s and on up into their 90s. A lot of people are living close to 100 years old. So I mean, if you're in good health and you might live a long time. So what you really want to think about, when do I want to retire? Do I want to retire at some people say I'm just tired of working. I want to retire at 62. But if you retire at 62, one thing you got to think about is that whatever you take at 62, that's what you're going to be taking for the rest of your life. So now think about this. Now, if you do that and then you live to be in your 90s, that's what you're going to get. But if you think, well, I'm in pretty good shape, I want to work a little bit longer. Some people say I want to work till I'm 65, and nothing wrong with that. If you feel like that's what you can do. But look at the money. If you retire at 65, you're going to bring home more every month than you would if you retired at 62. And then if you retire at 68, you're going to bring home a lot more. And so there's about a five, six, $700 difference there every month. And you take 1 year, 500 extra dollars a month for 1 year, and look at that. And then if you do it, say if when you get to be 70, and then you say you retired at 68, so you got extra money every month. But here's what to look at: when you're 70, and if you live to be 90, that's 20 years. That's $500 a month for 20 years more than if you had retired earlier. So that is something to think about. But like this piece of paper I've got, it says, from the Social Security office, they send here in America, they send those out every year in January, and every year it goes up a little bit. But if you're in Canada or in the UK or somewhere else in the world, just you might can call your administration office and they can tell you how much. But you need to know at what age you're going to retire and how much money you're going to bring in, and then you have to say, um, is that enough? Can I live on that every month? Or some people have a pension, Some people have some people have money that they've saved. Some people have money in stocks, and all that's great. But one thing you need to do, the first thing you need to do is determine when do you want to retire. Now, as we move along that, the second thing is how much debt do you have? So the second thing I would suggest you to do is to cut. First I would start with credit cards. Credit cards, they just kind of suck us in sometimes. But I would get rid of as many credit cards. I would just start at the biggest one, start paying that thing off, or you could start at the smallest one, just pay it off, and then you can work toward the other ones. And then there's other debts that you might have too, like your car payment, things like that. But you got to remember what things you will have to pay once you're retired. You got to think about your housing, your electric bill, things like that, your gas and insurance and stuff like that. If you're going to stay in home, but I would get rid of the credit cards as fast as I could, because some of those are like 20, 30%, and some people are making the minimum payments, and when they do that, they're not really, they're paying more in the interest than they are on the principal. So gather your credit cards up and look at them. My wife and I, we did that, and we got rid of all of our credit cards. We don't have a credit card at all, and we don't want one, and we've been that way for over a year now. And we're not retired yet. We're going to retire in a few more years, but we're planning on that. And that's what I'm talking to you about here today, is getting ready when you do get ready to retire, so that you'll have these things taken care of. So credit cards and any other debts that you might have that you can pay down, and I would get on top of that as soon as I can. And then the third thing is your housing. Where are you going to live? If you're going to stay right there where you're at in your house, then I would suggest try to get it paid off as much as you can before you retire. I mean, like if you're in your 50s right now, and you say let's just say you're 50 years old. At 50 in your house mortgage, maybe you hadn't been in your house very long, but that's where you want to retire at, and that's where you want to live at. Well, maybe in 15 years you'll have that paid off when you get to be 65. But that's something you got to plan on, and something that you need to think about is getting your house paid off, getting so you don't have that mortgage payment. And if you're planning on moving, then we'll get into that in just a moment there. But if you have to work a couple more years, in order to get your Social Security payment up a little bit, so that you can help take care of some of these things. $500 a month. That's a lot of money. So it's a lot of money for me and my wife, and so we're planning on. I'm planning on retiring about 68. So I mean, I feel like I'm in pretty good health, and I can work that long. That's going to bump my payments up to uh, at least $500 more than if I would retire at 65. Just working those 3 extra years, and in that 3 extra years also, that'll give me money to pay on the things that like the house payment or car payments or whatever I need to pay. Maybe you've got your house paid for. That'd be great. I wish we did, but I mean, by the time we retire, we will have our house paid for. We've been working on that for several years, and so that's why I say if you're in your 50s, or even if you're in your early 60s, you can really work on that, and maybe pay a little extra, maybe pay one extra payment a year, and will really knock down on that principal. So that's something we need to think about. And then the fourth thing is to pay off your car, and or if you need a new car. And let me suggest this: I wouldn't go out and buy a brand new car. I mean, you can buy a good used car that is a couple of years old for almost half of what you can go and buy a new one for. They depreciate that much, but I wouldn't go out and buy a brand new car. And but get a good car. Get a good car that you can rely on. My wife and I, she bought a car 10 years ago, and we're still driving that car. I bought a car a few years ago, but I bought it used, and this year it's 19 years old, and but it still runs good. It gets me to my job, and it gets me around here with my family and my friends, and I like it. I mean, and I take care of the motor. I get in there, and another thing that you might want to do is just get you a notebook like this. And then write down in it. Go in there and then just write down what you've done, like when you've changed the oil, when you put new tires on it, and everything that you've done to it. Write it down, write the date, because someday you're gonna look at them tires and say, "When was it we bought those tires?" And so you can go back and take that notepad out and you say, "Okay, these tires are almost a year old, and they're wearing down. So pretty soon I might have to buy some new tires." So that is something that you want to think about on your car. Take care of your car. Get the oil changed regularly like you should, because just doing a little maintenance on it will keep you from having to make a major uh, uh, problem that you have and have to pay for that. So keep up with your car. If you know you're going to retire, if you're in your 60s, and if you can, pay your car off and plan on driving it for as long as you can. But if you do need to buy another car, like I said, I wouldn't go out and buy a new one. You can get one for a couple of years old that for almost half of what a brand new one of that same model um, would that you could buy for. So take care of your car and do that. Um, and then the fifth thing I want to mention today is that you know fix yourself, fix your health. Do you need dental work? Get those things done. While you're at your job and while you have insurance at your job, use that insurance to fix your body, and go to the doctor, see what the doctor says, get you a checkup, and say, is there anything wrong? Some people, if they need prescriptions, use those prescriptions now, while you got it, because Medicare doesn't cover everything. Medicare doesn't cover dental or anything like that. So if you need new teeth, or if you need some work done on your teeth, try to get that done now. Like I about 15 years ago, I think, or I got dentures, because I had some bad teeth in my mouth, and I've had to go get some oral surgery done, and I was getting infection, and so I just got that, and I've got dentures in now, and so I'm set, you know. So I don't have to worry about that anymore. But if you got other health problems, if you need a knee replacement or something like that, go ahead and if you're planning on doing those things anyway, go ahead and get those things done while you've got insurance and while you're still working, and you've got a paycheck coming in. I would go ahead and do that. If you need new glasses, I mean, I need new glasses. So pretty soon my wife needs new glasses, so she's going to go and get some, and then I'm going to go and probably get two pair. Um, and then if you need sunglasses, whatever it is of that you need. So I like my coffee. But if you like coffee, you know what I mean. But fix yourself, and but you know when you get ready, when you're like I'm 64 years old, and like I said, my wife and I haven't retired yet, but we're working on these things. We've worked on our car, and we're fixing to take a trip, and so we went and had it all checked out, to make sure that we can go in it on this trip, and so uh, things like little things like that, that we need to take care of. But 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 look at Medicare. Find out. I like this year, when I get 64 and a half, I think I'm supposed to sign up for Medicare here in America. And I don't know what they do in British Columbia or Canada, or other parts of the world. But something to think about, and find out what kind of insurance you're going to have, because right now, while you're working, if you are still working, you need to go ahead and get some of these health issues done. And then the sixth thing is that if you're planning on moving, a lot of people say, well, when I retire, I'm going to move to another state, or I'm going to move, closer to my grandchildren, my children and grandchildren. So if you're planning on moving, uh, go ahead and be looking out some places that you might want to live when you move there. And if your house, if you want to sell your house in order to move there, well then get the things done in your house that needs to be taken care of. If it needs a new roof, go ahead and put a new roof on it. If it needs a new flooring, and right now in our house we're putting down new flooring all over the house, and so we're trying to get all that done before we retire. We just had a new roof put on the house, I think 2 or 3 years ago. So we should be good on a new roof. We redid our kitchen, but now what we did in the kitchen, we didn't hire somebody to come in and do $40,000 to $80,000 thing. All we did was we had like wood paneling cabinets, and we painted those blue. We took down some of the shelving, and we put up some of the pipes, and then put the shelving in between the pipes, and that looks really good. And then so we're putting down new flooring right now in there, and we're doing some painting on there. And we'll spend probably $1,000 or so, when we get all that done. And that's about all that a couple of gallons of paint, and some flooring, and then the pipes. We bought those off of Amazon, and they weren't that much. And then we just got some boards cut and put up there. It looks really nice. So we kind of redone the kitchen there without spending a fortune like a lot of people do. You don't have to spend a fortune to redo all that. But whatever you need to do in your house, if you're going to move and you're going to sell your house, then get these things done now. And so that when the time comes, and I would suggest that if you're going to move, unless you're at a job where you just have to stay there until you retire, go ahead and try to find you another place. If you're going to try to get closer to your grandkids, or if you're going to move out of state, a lot of people say, well, I'm going to move to Florida, or I'm going to move to Texas or somewhere down south where it ain't so cold all the time. But if you're going to move, then start making plans now. Like if you're in your 50s, especially, and you think, well, that's we're not going to do that for another 10 years, maybe. But have that thought in your head, because that's something to be thinking about. And then you can be putting money toward, like if you had to fix your house, be putting money toward that, and then putting some money in some savings account or something that will go toward to help you move when you get ready to do that. So if you're moving, think about that. So I guess the next thing would be is to have money on hand in case of an emergency. You, I don't, if you're in your, I try to tell young people today, like if they're in their 20s, they need to think about retirement, because I mean, 64 got here just like that for me, and it does for most people. And before you know it, you're facing retirement right in front of you, and you hadn't made any plans. So I'm trying to help you out here today so that you can make some of these plans, and plan on having some money on hand. I don't mean like putting money under your mattress or anything. Put some money in a savings account. Put some, we have money. Like I said, I'm not a financial advisor or anything. I'm not trying to tell you on that, but we have money in the market, and we have some money in the retirement fund, and some of that money we can't touch for so many years. And so if something happens, we can't get a hold of that money in case an emergency happens. What I'm saying is have some money in a savings account somewhere, the highest interest that you can get, and put some money in there in case something comes up. Something goes wrong with your car and you need to put it in the shop. You got money to take care of that. If an appliance goes out, you got money to take care of that without having to put all that kind of things on a credit card, because they're trying to get rid of the credit card. That's why I say you would be surprised at how much money you can put back every week. And if you'll just do it, if it's $20, if it's $40, put that back. You won't miss it if you'll take it out first and go and put it back. Some people have it taken out of their checks, and put it in a savings account in their bank, and it will just go directly in there. and you'll never miss it. So always have some cash on hand that you can use. And then um, the eighth thing that I got listed here is to fix your house, and I thought I basically talked about that, but I talked about if you're going to move. But what I'm talking about here is if fix your house, that, like, say you're not going to move, so you're going to stay in the house that you're presently in until for as long as you live. So if you're going to do that, then I would suggest, go ahead and fix it up. And what I'm talking about is like in the bathroom. Okay, put up some handrails in there. I mean, we've already done that. We put up some handrails, because I'm gonna tell you this: your 85-year-old self will thank your 65-year-old self for doing that. When you get older, these little things that make a difference. So go ahead and fix your house. And what is there? What about the air and the cooling system? I had a friend, and he was saying, that their air and cooling system was in bad shape, and he said, well, I've got money set aside, but I might need that for something else, so I'm not going to use that money right now. But what he said is that something happened to it, and then it flooded. Then the pipes burst from it in the wintertime when it happened, and flooded their basement. And they had to get a recovery team to come in. It cost them a whole lot more than if they ever just had somebody to come out and check their unit and try to. He knew it was messing up. He said, I knew it was messing up, and I tried to work on it myself. But he should have had somebody to come out and look at it, and then they could have told him, well, you're going to need this. And if you do, then go ahead and replace that. If it, you know, it, Think about your front deck or your front porch, or I got some friends that live down the road here from us, and they've already put in a ramp. They don't need it right now, but he told me, he said, one day, I might be in a wheelchair, or my wife might be in a wheelchair. Because we never know how long we're going to live, like I said before. So that is something that you need to think about, the little things that you're going to need later on. So in your kitchen, what is it in there that when you turn 85, 90 years old, would make things easier for you during that time. So as you think about that, and then the ninth thing is to make things comfortable. If you need a new mattress, then go ahead and get that mattress right now. A lot of people are sleeping on just getting by with an old mattress that they wake up and they're hurting. They don't sleep well. They toss all night because and you can go out. You may have to spend $1,000 or a couple $1,000 on a very good mattress. But the quality of life you would have from doing that. I mean, some of you probably need to go ahead and do that now anyway. But think about things like that. Okay, what about your chair? I know people that I have a friend that's 80 years old, and he has a lift chair. He said, I can get up and get down in this. I can sit down in and ease myself down, and then I get ready to get up. I just pull it back up. He said, I want to tell you something, Chuck. He said, I bought this chair 20 years ago. He said, back then I didn't have to use it for the lift part that much, but now that I'm 80 years old, I need it. So make things comfortable in your home. If you need a new mattress, get a new mattress now, and enjoy it now. I mean, make things comfortable for you now. If you think that you might need a lift chair later, and go ahead and buy it now. You might not have to use it right now, but make life comfortable for you. And so it's like our bed. Our bed is sets up just we bought some memory foam and put on top of it, and man, that made life so much simpler when we did that. I mean, we felt like after we got that and put it on, it was like we felt like we had been sleeping on a concrete slab. But that made so much life so much better. But it, it raised the bed up to the point where it's fine for me because I'm tall. but my wife's not as tall as I am, and sometimes she struggles getting into bed because it's a little bit too high. So my plans is to make a frame where that bed will sit down a little bit lower, so it'll be easier for her to get into it. I'm gonna go ahead and get that done in within the next year anyway, so that when the time comes and when we get older, I mean, I'm probably not going to be getting in and out of the bed uh, as easy as I used to maybe. So little things like that make things comfortable for you, and put some shelves in or have somebody to come and look at your kitchen cabinets and put some shelves in there, because sometimes now I have to get up on a stool to get something. So try to get it to where right now you don't have to reach up and reach way up to try and get something. So trying to make life comfortable for you. Things in your bathroom, in your like I said, in our tub in the bath in one of the bathrooms, we put up handrails so we can grab a hold of that and get out. We don't, we're not going to fall because it's little things like that. And like I said, if you need a ramp on the front or the back or whatever it is, when you think ahead, think ahead. Like when I get to be 85 or 90 years old, if the Lord's willing and I live that long, what am I going to need then? And then try to do that now. That will make a big difference. And then the just trying to make things comfortable for you. Whatever it is that you need to make things comfortable for you. And like I said, go ahead and get those things done, because your 85-year-old self will thank your 65-year-old self for doing those little things. Then the last thing, number 10. I know I got the bonus one coming up, so if you're still with me, I appreciate that. But number 10 is to invest in people. Now, when I say that, I mean invest in your family. Our families are very important to us, and we do things with them. We go out to eat with them. We invest in it, and right now we're trying to make new friends, and we at our church, and we've got friends there that we are starting to ask, y'all want to go eat, and invest in your family. When you retire, a lot of people will say, a lot of people will ask you, well, what are you going to do when you retire? You know, do you have hobbies or anything like that? But one thing I want to do is I want to get out and do things with other people, and our best friends. We've already got trips planned. We've been on some trips in the years past, on vacations near the summer, and went to Las Vegas one year. Had a ball. We had a great time. And then one year we took an Alaskan cruise. Man, that for a 7-day cruise. And that we enjoyed that. So when we retire, we want to get with our friends and go places. We've got some other um, cruises that we're already looking at. We want to go out west again. We want to go to Montana and Wyoming, and just we want to take time, because when you're working, you only have like so many days. When we went to Las Vegas, we only had so many days, and we were at a different hotel just about every night. So if you think about that, uh, when you retire, you're going to have more time to do that. So, I say invest in friends, invest in your family. If you've got family members that you don't talk to that much, then call them up and just make, you know, if something down the road, caused you to have a squabble or something at some point, and now um, it's time to make up. And so, because I think you'll appreciate that, it'll make you feel better on the inside once you do that. But just invest in people, and a lot of people want to invest in their grandkids. I want to move to where I can be closer to my grandkids. We've got an older couple that are a friend of ours. They're moving down south so they can spend more time with their grandkids, and so. Invest in that. Okay, number 11. This is the bonus for that, and the bonus is to, and I want to read a verse of scripture here in Philippians 4:11. Philippians 4:11 says, you know, uh, Not that I speak in regard of need, and this is Paul speaking, for I have learned in whatever state I am to be content. So if there's one thing that I would say to you, if you really want to be happy, be content with whatever you got. My wife and I, we don't want any more material things. I mean, we're trying to get rid of a lot of things we've got. There are things that I'm going to go ahead and give to my kids and my grandkids now. That stuff that I don't use anymore. And there's some tools that my granddaddy had that were handed down to me. I'm going to go ahead and give those to my grandkids. And I'm going to write out a letter with it and tell them what it was. And I might even do a little video and then say this was my granddaddy's and I'm giving it to you. And that's another thing, is to make a video and tell about yourself, tell who you are, and then leave that video for your kids and for your grandkids, and then for your great grandkids that you may never see. They can look at that video and they can know who you are. I thought about that the other day, and I thought, I'm going to do that. And then my wife and I think we're going to make a video on things that we have now that we don't want to get rid of just yet. And we're going to say, here, for my kids, that if something happens to me or my wife, and our families can look at these videos, and I can say, here, I want so and so to have this, and I want this to go there, and things like that. That I think that's a good thing. But learn to be content. Learn to be content in whatever situation you're in. We are more happy now in our life, and it's not because of the material things we have. We've had campers, and we've had so many material things, and we got rid of, and now we're happy because we don't have those things, and we have learned to be content in in what we have, and that I think that is the whole key to life. If you go on down to Philippians 4:13, it says, "I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me," and Paul is talking about being content. He said, "I've been rich and I've been poor." He said, "But now I'm just happy, to be where I'm at, and whatever state I'm in, I'm going to be happy." And so that's something for us to think about. And there are these few things. There's 10 things, and I'll go over them real quick. The first one was that, know when you're going to retire. And then the second one is to cut your credit cards, your debt, as much as you can. The third one is to pay off your house if you can. And then the fourth one is pay off your car, and get you a good car. If you need to go ahead and buy one now, that it might be paid off by the time you retire. And then the fifth thing is just to get into shape, get your teeth fixed, get some glasses, get whatever, while you still have insurance, uh, get that done. And then the sixth thing was, if you're planning on moving, start making plans right now. Where do you want to live if you retire, and then start looking some places in that area, and and then start doing whatever you need to do for that. And then number 7 was to have cash available. Put some money in a savings account, and let that money grow. And then if something comes up, you can go and get that money and pay for it, because you don't want all your money in stocks and retirement plans and all things like that where you can't get a hold of it right now. So that's the thing. And then number 8 was to fix your house. Like I said, your 85-year-old is gonna thank your 65-year-old for doing that when you get to be that age, if you live that long. Good Lord willing, maybe we can. But then the ninth thing was to make comfort a priority. Go ahead and get the mattress now while you can pay for it. Go ahead and get that chair or whatever it is that can make you comfortable. If like our dining room table, it sets up, and my wife says she's having problems with getting that. We may go ahead and get another. We have one dining room table that sits low, and then the other one that we have is larger. We may get rid of it and get one that's easier to set it, but make things comfortable. And then number 10 was invest in people, get to know people, do some social media or whatever they call that, but to do that. And then the last thing was to learn to be content. I mean, we live out here in the country, and we moved from the city. When we moved out here, and we're just happy, and we're happy that we don't have a lot of the things that we used to have, we're going to get rid of. We're going through some of the stuff in our house right now and giving to Goodwill, and then giving some things to our, like I said, to our grandkids. And but just learn. You know, so many people go through life, and there was one thing. Uh, let me read this because learn to be content with less to be happy. One lady, she said I wish I would have just been happy with what I had. You know, her and her husband, they spent a lot of money, and then he passed away. And then when he passed away, she came back. She said, I just wish we'd have been happy with what we had, instead of trying to go and be like the neighbors down the road, trying to get everything. You know, the only and I'm going to say this, and I'm going to close, but the only thing standing between you and happiness is this insane idea that we need more than we have. You know, think about that. Uh, my wife and I, like I said, we're just trying to get rid of the things that we've got and just be happy. You know, that we're together. We want to spend time together. When we retire, we want to be able to get up in the morning and go out and have our coffee together, sit there and talk, and uh, and then just enjoy the day together. We want to spend the rest of our lives together, and that's what retirement is really all about. And so we want to be happy in that, and we don't want to, we don't want any bills and or anything like that. You know, we want to go out and eat. We want to travel some. We want to spend time with our friends, and that's going to be the most important thing in our life. It's the quality of life that you have. So, thank you for listening. And then, like I said, if you don't mind, hit that subscribe button and the like button, and please leave a comment and let me know what you think. Maybe you've got some more ideas that you'd like to share. And then if you do, then other people that read that, they can learn from what you have put on there. So share with us, and like I said, I get back with everybody. I appreciate you listening to my channel, and appreciate you listening to this video, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you.